I'm just a victim. Sam Heughan shocks when revealing the truth about Caitriona Balfe's marriage. Early in the morning, when Edinburgh was still shrouded in a thin layer of fog, Sam Heughan appeared before the television camera, in a special interview organized by a major online newspaper live-streamed nationwide. His face was solemn, his eyes filled with pain that had long been hidden. He took a deep breath and spoke. I have been silent. I have endured for too long. Today, I want to say something that no one has known all this time. I am also just a victim in the marriage between Caitriona Balfe and her husband. The entire studio erupted in cheers, mixed with surprise and curiosity. The media immediately reported the news in droves. Social networks exploded with headlines. Sam Heughan accuses himself of being a secret victim. Shocking scandal in the private life of a famous couple. In the interview room, Sam continued in a harsh voice, "You may think that I am on the sidelines, that I have nothing to do with it. But in reality, in the darkness behind their wings, I was pushed into a sophisticated game of emotions, torment, and hurt." He looked straight into the lens. "I am not telling this to make noise, nor to win back. I am telling this to clarify. It is not just one person who suffers." The recording of the interview was broadcast everywhere: websites, YouTube channels, Twitter status lines, Instagram. Fans and media rushed to debate. Some sided with Sam, some spoke up to defend Caitriona, some opposed both. But everyone thought this was a heavenly hand in showbiz scandals. The darkness in marriage. After the shocking statement, Sam did not allow himself to rest. He hastily scheduled a longer interview, for a prestigious magazine, to reveal more secrets behind the glamour. He began, Caitriona and her husband, film engineer Declan Fraser, have been married for 6 years. From the outside, they are a power couple, an international star and a little-known man behind the technical success of many big projects. They seem solid, but underneath is a web of emotions, where insiders can easily get lost. Sam paused, looking down. I got involved when their story began to have problems. At first, I was just a friend, a colleague, a supporter when Caitriona needed artistic help. But gradually, too gradually, I was drawn into the middle of a breakdown that I did not want." He continued, "Their marriage had its public moments, its secret moments. There were times when Declan got angry with Caitriona, there were times when she cried alone, there were times when she came to me and said, 'I didn't know I was lost.' At first I wanted to keep my distance, but when you are best friends, when you know the suffering firsthand, you can't keep quiet." Sam recounted the long nights he stayed up with Caitriona, listening to her talk about Declan's angry words, the financial pressures, the projects that came and were cancelled, the broken promises, the loneliness in the midst of the spotlight. There were nights when she burst into tears in Sam's arms, expressing her sadness that she didn't know who to share with. "I'm not an intruder. I'm not a destroyer. I'm just someone who was stuck in a place where I didn't belong," he said. He presented evidence, text messages, emails, images of late-night phone calls, diary entries that Caitriona had sent him to keep. These data shocked the media, because they were like small pieces of a puzzle revealing the truth behind the screen. Caitriona and Declan's reaction. Immediately after the wave of public opinion, Caitriona and Declan were forced to speak up. They held a short press conference in London to respond to Sam's testimony. Caitriona appeared in front of the camera, in simple clothes but with a hard look. Sam's words are partly true, partly false. There were nights when I was in pain, there were times when I cried. But it's too easy to put Declan and me in a serious crime. Every marriage has its ups and downs, no one is perfect. She continued, I love Declan. I chose him not for his glory, but for the peace he brought. If there is a fault, it is mine. for sharing my sadness too deeply with a third person instead of facing it myself. But I do not accept being described as half of a conspiracy. Declan, standing next to her, his face pale. It hurts me to hear such words. I am not perfect, but I have never hit Caitriona, never used my power to force her. There may be contradictions, but it is too simple to label one side as the victim and the other as the enemy. Both declared that they would seek legal help, would use the law to protect their honor. They asked Sam to provide full evidence if they wanted to start a defamation lawsuit. The media continued to buzz. Fans were divided into two camps, Sam's side, Caitriona, Declan's side, and a neutral public curiously waiting for the truth to be revealed. Inside the wounded soul, Sam after that famous press conference was not afraid. He knew his words risked being turned around, being rejected, being called a troublemaker. But he was ready to face it. He invited a group of reporters to a small house on the Scottish coast, where he had once escaped from the pressure. He wanted to tell everything, without hiding anything. One night, he said, his voice low, when I woke up in the middle of the night, my heart was pounding. I remember Caitriona saying she wanted a divorce, wanted to leave Declan. But she was afraid of a bad reputation, afraid of losing her career, afraid of being seen as a failure. And every time she was vulnerable, Declan would appear, gentle, promising, then retreat into the shadows. He stood by the window looking out at the Black Sea. Cold wind blew in, hair flying. I used to think I had gotten over the past. But when she burst into tears in the middle of the night to tell me that her husband had called her useless, that she was just a decorative sign in the marriage, I couldn't ignore it. I can't be friends when that curtain covers the essence. Sam said that during that time, there were times when he received messages from Caitriona at 2 a.m. Can you help me get through this? I don't want to face it alone. Sometimes she came to his house, kneeling down and crying in front of him because she didn't know what to say to Declan next. Sometimes she sent pictures of her husband in anger, sent videos of their arguments with the audio down. Those images, those messages, were all imprinted in Sam's mind. He said, I am a victim not because I want to be the central character, but because I was dragged into a war that I did not initiate. I was injured when I had to hide, had to give up, had to stay silent even though my heart was broken. Those words made the group of reporters silent. Some people snapped their cameras, some typed on their computers, all listening to an obviously suffering but steadfast Sam. Perpetrator or victim? Endless debate. After that naked interview, public opinion was divided into many sharper streams. Online newspapers published an analysis, Sam, victim or destroyer of happiness. Comments competed to accuse Sam of deliberately using other people's family matters to create scandals. Some supporters reminded, everyone has the right to tell their own pain. A psychologist was invited to speak on television. In triangular relationships, that is, when a third person is involved, it is difficult to distinguish who is the perpetrator and who is the victim. It is possible that all three are hurt. Sam's claim that she is the victim may be true, if there is evidence, but that does not eliminate Caitriona and Declan's responsibility to protect themselves. Caitriona is also under pressure from public opinion. Old articles about her are dug up, rumors surrounding her relationship with Sam are fanned again. She has to face fans, face malicious comments such as, unfaithful person, secret lover. One evening, she burst into tears in front of her manager. Why do I have to endure all this? Why am I not allowed to suffer? The manager hugged her and comforted her. Cat, just believe in yourself. The truth can be reversed, but time will prove it. On Sam's side, he also received threatening messages and doubts from Caitriona's fans. He was once called a destroyer of someone's happiness, accused of being a third person. But he kept silent, did not respond publicly, just continued to tell the story, touching rock bottom. The conflict reached its peak when Declan sent a legal request. If Sam did not withdraw his statement, Declan would sue him for defamation. A top lawyer was hired. The media was all over the place when the news of the legal battle between Sam and the Balfe, Fraser couple was all over the newspapers. Sam felt pressured. He knew that if he went to court, many secrets and humiliations that all three wanted to forget would be revealed. But he could not back down because he had said those words. He asked himself, would he have the courage to stand in the storm? One night, he came to the empty house. He sat on the sofa, holding his head. In the phone, Caitriona's message. Sam, if you want to fight, make sure you want what you want. I don't want to hurt people more. He burst into tears. He realized that he could win the case, he could win public opinion, but would that give him peace of mind? Would that ease Caitriona's wounds? Would that make him truly a victim, or just someone who chose to cry loudly so that others could hear? He wrote in his diary that night, I used to think that if I denounced, justice would be on my side. But now I understand, justice cannot save anyone's heart.